I'm here with Matthew from Vega. Matthew, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
You made the trip over from Hong Kong?
I did, yes. Via Istanbul.
Now, surprisingly enough, I do not want to talk to you about technology. I actually want to talk to you about business, which is something we all forget. Everyone here is running a business. Vega's been really good. You've gone through a lot of transformations in the past few years. You've ridden the pandemic out by pivoting properly, focusing on things like the workplace and really bringing in new talent and expanding. But what kind of doesn't get discussed is that there were a lot of changes in terms of your hierarchy, your structure on the business side. Talk to me a little bit about what the new Vega looks like.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, when Bad Capital purchased Vega, we had a very strong plan of cementing ourselves into the Asia Pacific and Middle East markets, and really concentrating on that particular part of sort of the global market. And we also got to a size from a revenue perspective where we needed to sort of put in a little bit more structure to ensure that we had the continuity and the quality of delivery across the spectrum. And we all know the challenges of doing business in Asia. There's a lot of variance and different cultures, different languages, different currencies, different regulatory environments that you have to operate in. So building a structure which can accommodate all of that and deliver projects to a high standard was obviously a very important part of the initiative. So if you remember the Vega of old, we used to have an operation in Europe and all of those types of things. We very strategically concentrated on just focusing in the Asia Pacific and Middle East regions. So we didn't bring the European piece along with us. And in fact, our parent company has got a separate business that they run, Aura Futures in Europe, and they cover the European market. So we can collaborate with them as and when needed. So really, our focus was Asia Pacific, and we brought in obviously some of the C-suites, so a COO and a CFO, which we previously hadn't had. But probably more importantly, we built a management team where we brought in digital workplace specialists and sort of more focus on technology solution specialists, and also we've brought in more IT focused specialists, which are allowing us to broaden the spectrum of work that we do.
So the things that you've kind of highlighted, right? You're bringing them in now, but there are established practices if you go out into the wider world of business. What would you say has been the impact? Has it been a plus? Has it given you a competitive advantage? Kind of give us the aftermath.
Yes, I mean almost definitely. With the insertion of the digital workplace specialists and the IT specialties have really played well into the proliferation of Teams and Zoom. To be quite honest with you, we have to have much more deeper conversations with the IT teams within the corporate organizations, and we have to be able to navigate ourselves onto the network. And so having the people who understand how to talk the talk, so to speak, with those guys and understand what the needs, wants, and desires are has been a really important step.
Yeah, and having someone like a CFO on board would also be nice. Not having to take
of course, yes.
Take a cap off, give it to someone else.
Yes, of course, having the C-suite sort of functions covered. So Paul running operations and Kenny running the finance side of things has been a massive help to help just again stabilize our operation and really we set a mantra when we first started with Bad Capital 2 years ago to get the one Vega going. And previously, yes, we were Vega, but we were definitely more dispersed than what we are now.
The last thing I'd like to talk to you about is kind of contrasting what you guys did to, let's say, a software company which is just starting out right now. They start with a CFO, they start with a COO, they start with a CEO, right? And it's almost like, because AV has been such a siloed little business, if you look at Asia Pacific, right, a lot of them are family-run businesses, second generation, third generation people stepping up, and enacting this kind of transformation seems late, but it's necessary because we're sitting at the big boy table now.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, Vega was a family business. Laurie built it up over 35 years and did a fantastic job. But of course, he did not have succession, and the plan was always to try and find a way for him to exit, but with someone who wants to carry the Vega name on. And obviously the discussions we had with Bed Capital were instrumental in helping us to realize that, and actually it's come to fruition. But of course, when you get to a certain size, you do need to have the structure in place, right? So, which we realized, and Laurie realized, to be honest with you, and that was really one of the reasons why he was wanting to step out at that point in time, because we got, a stage in his life where he needed to step away, and also the business got to a size where it needed a bit more structure.
What would you recommend to other AV people who want to kind of experience the same benefits of having the structure in place? Maybe looking back at the start when you went down this road, some hiccups that you're like, hey, just don't do that, and it'll be much easier.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that we've had to focus on is balancing the speed at which we expand our headcount versus the volume of business that we bring in. So we've had to manage our budgets quite closely. And you can appreciate that, you have to have a little bit of faith, build it and they will come, so to speak. So, we have had to navigate that to a certain extent. So you really do need to look at we look at the whole of the Asia Pacific and Middle East market, but then we have to look at each individual business unit within that to make sure that we get the balance right between the headcounts that we're bringing on, the volume of business that can be generated through that particular market, just to make sure that we stay on track for what our targets are. And luckily, so far, we've been reasonably good at that.
Yeah. Matthew, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thank you.